Hello learners, this is Habiba with Excel with me. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class, that is Pedagogy of Social Sciences, with the topic School Curriculum and Resources in Social Sciences, and under that subtopic is People as Resources. We are going to understand about types of resources, that is primary, secondary and tertiary resources. Let's start with the introduction. Sources of information or evidence are often categorized as primary, secondary or tertiary material. Now, what is people as resources? That means whatever sources of information we need, we get from the people. That is, sources of information or evidences we get from the human beings or the people. These are categorized as primary, secondary and tertiary. Now, these categorizations depend on the innovation of the material and the proximity of the source or origin. So, how authentic these informations are from the source only we will get to know. This informs the reader as to whether the creator is reporting information that is first hand or is conveying the experiences and opinions of others, which is considered second hand. So, whatever informations we are getting, whether it is the first hand information directly wherever incident occurred from those people we are getting, or those people have told those informations to other people, they are conveying to us, that will become second hand. So, deciding whether a source is primary, secondary or tertiary can be interesting. Given below are the three categories of information and examples. Let's understand one by one. Now, first of all, types of resources. Quickly understand what are the literal meaning of these sources. Primary source, a first hand or contemporary account of an event or topic. Directly, if any event is happening, if I am watching that event, if I am telling or writing that will become the first hand information, that is primary source. Now, secondary source, content first reported in another source. If I am taking some source from another source, from maybe magazine or some newspaper, and I am again quoting and writing that will become the second hand, that is secondary source. Then tertiary resource, information are based on a collection of primary and secondary sources together are called tertiary sources. So, let's understand quickly. First one, primary sources. A primary source provides direct or first hand evidence about an event, object, person or work of art. Now, primary sources provide the original materials on which other research is based and enable students and other researchers to get as close as possible to what actually happened during a particular event or time period. Suppose my grandfather or my grandparents have witnessed the independence. That means whatever stories and events I am getting, that is first hand information I am getting from my grandparents. Likewise, these primary sources are original materials, not other persons who are telling. Now, published materials can be viewed as primary resources if they come from the time period that is being discussed and were written or produced by someone with first hand experience of the event. For example, if we take Gandhiji, Gandhiji has written some book. That means whatever he has written in that book, that is the first hand information which we are getting. So, often primary sources reflect the individual viewpoint of a particular or observer. For example, if any person has written his biography, that means that is first hand information. Primary sources can be written or non-written. Sometimes sound, pictures, artifacts, these also can be called as primary sources, because directly they have drawn, maybe they painted, maybe, that means they are primary sources. Now, let's see the examples of primary sources here. Autobiographies and memories, diaries, personal letters and correspondence, interviews, surveys and fieldwork, internet communications on email, blogs and news groups, photographs, drawings and posters, works of art and literature. So autobiography means the person himself or herself is writing about his life story. That means that is first hand, that is primary source. Whatever memories if are shared by your grandparents, they are also primary sources. If I am writing any diary about the events happened in my life, that is the first hand information, that is primary source. Likewise, whoever writes the personal letters, correspondence directly, and giving some interview from the legendary persons, and then surveys conducted by somebody directly going to the field work, and then internet communication like email, directly we are writing some mail to somebody whom we want to correspond. Then blogs, I am writing, if I am writing a blog on any particular event, that means I have witnessed that event, I am writing that. Then news groups, directly those journalists go outside in the field and they experience and they narrate everything directly. Photographs, if we are going outside some tourism places or somewhere, we definitely click some photographs. That means we have witnessed those scenic beauties, and that means that is first hand. Then drawing, posters, then literature, the poems have been written by n number of poets. So all these are primary resources like books, magazines, newspaper articles and ads published at the time, then public opinion polls, speeches and oral histories, original documents like birth certificate, property deeds, trial transcripts, then research data. If I am doing any research, I will go outside and collect some data, maybe census statistics related to population, then official and unofficial records of organizations and government agencies, all, and then artifacts of all kinds such as tools, coins, clothing, furniture, etc. Then audio recordings, DVDs and video recordings, government documents, reports, bills, proclamations, hearings, etc. Then patents, technical reports, scientific journal articles reporting experimental research results, all are these the examples of primary sources. Now let's move to the secondary sources now. Secondary sources describe, discuss, interpret, comment upon, analyze, evaluate, summarize and process primary sources. Whatever primary sources are there, if I am writing any article, review article, I will search for review of literature of so many persons. That means I will quote that this has been taken from this magazine or this article or this review, then I will put it in my article as references. That becomes secondary. Somebody has done already about that particular event, that I am referring and I am quoting in my review. That becomes secondary source. A secondary source is generally one or more steps removed from the event or time period and are written or produced after the fact with the benefit of hindsight. So what happens? First, somebody might have experienced or witness of some event, they will write some article and then I will take that article, that becomes the secondary source for me. Then secondary sources often lack the freshness and immediacy of the original material. Sometimes what happens, whatever the person's article is there, I might change things and write. That means freshness will not be there if second hand report is being taken. Then on occasion, secondary sources will collect, organize and repackage primary source information to increase usability and speed of delivery, such as an online encyclopedia. So to avoid this, sometimes for the first hand information and usability, these online encyclopedias are very helpful. Then like primary sources, secondary materials can be written or non-written. Like same way, like primary sources, these are also like sound, pictures, movies, all these can be secondary sources. Let's have quickly the look at examples of secondary sources. Then bibliographies, that means somebody is writing about the life of someone, that the person directly is not writing but somebody else is writing about that person. And then biographical works, then reference books including dictionaries, Bibliographies are the quoting of somebody else who has written. For example, in researches, whatever books we have referenced, all those persons' names are written in bibliography. That becomes the secondary source. Then reference books including dictionaries, encyclopedia and atlases. Then articles from magazines, journals and newspapers after the event. Then literature reviews and review articles, example movie reviews, book reviews. Nowadays movie reviews so many people do on YouTube also. That means that becomes the secondary source. History books and other popular or scholarly books, works of criticism and interpretation, commentaries and treatises, textbooks, indexes and abstracts. Now let's come to the tertiary sources now. These are the sources that index, abstract, organize, compile or digest other sources. Together primary and secondary sources whatever are quoted, they become the tertiary source. Some reference materials and textbooks are considered tertiary sources when their chief purpose is to list, summarize or simply repackaging ideas or other informations. Now these tertiary sources are usually not credited to a particular author, but simply they are quoted. What are the examples of these tertiary sources now? Dictionaries, then encyclopedias. They may also be secondary sources and also tertiary sources. Almanacs, then act books, whatever acts are there of constitution maybe or law books, whatever acts have been passed, they will become tertiary source. Then Wikipedia, then bibliographies. The bibliographies may also be called as secondary and tertiary also. Dictionaries, directories, phone directories are there, railway directories. They are all the primary and secondary sources together becomes the tertiary source. Guidebooks, then manuals, handbooks. Textbook may be also secondary and also tertiary. Then indexing, then abstracting sources also called the tertiary. Now let's conclude this topic. Primary sources are the original objects or documents with first-hand information or raw material. Secondary sources that analyze, interpret or draw conclusions from primary sources, and tertiary sources that index, organize or compile other sources. So we come to the end of this session. If you like the class, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.